In this video, we are going to calculate the minimum number of operations needed so that all elements of the array are greater than or equal to the given threshold. Hello, I'm Jagan from growwithdata. I'm posting this video to share my knowledge in Python language with you. If this assists you in your interview preparation anyways, I will be happy. If you want to use the code in our video, you know the drill. You go to the YouTube channel, Grow with Data. You have the playlist and the videos. If you are specific to the playlist, you can go here. Now we're talking about the Python interview questions. And if you want to see the code, you go to the description part where you can see the code link here. When you click on it, it takes you to the GitHub where you have all the codes we discuss in this video. Okay, now let's see the input data and we can talk about the question in detail. We are given an array nums and a threshold k. So what we will do is we have to read one element at a time and then we see how many operations we have to do so that we can eliminate all the elements which are less than the threshold. So in one operation, you can remove one occurrence of the smallest element. So we have to return the minimum number of operations needed so that all elements of the array are greater than or equal to 7 or 10, whatever the threshold is given. Okay. Now we are given threshold as 10 and we have to clean up this array. So we come here, the 2 is less than 10. So it's one operation. And then we come here, 1 is less than 10, 2 operation, and 3 is less than 10, 3 operation. Right? So what we have to do, we have to give the output as 3. So because we need 3 operations to make sure that all the elements in the array are greater than or equal to the threshold k. Okay, fine. Now we can go with the basic logic. Okay, so instead of you deleting it, how else can you get the number 3? So the basic thing, you can just see what are all the elements which are less than the threshold. If you find that number, that is the output, right? So if you see what are the numbers less than 3, 2, 1 and 3. So 3 elements are less than 3. So the output is 3. If you want to get more data, then for example, you get this. So 11247 and the threshold is equal to 1. So it should be greater than or equal to, right? So if you see this, all the elements are greater than or equal to 1. So the output has to be 0. Let's go to the third example. Here we are going to have the same input, but the threshold k equal to 9. So if you see this element 1, 1, 2 and 4. So all the 4 elements are less than the threshold 9. So the output is going to be 4. Right? So this is what is expected. So first we do a process where we track the number without deleting it. As I said, we just find the number of elements which are less than the threshold k. Let's see how to do that. Okay, first we start with this input array, nums and k. Go with the function, go with data, nums is the array and k is the threshold. We have our variable result equal to 0. Right? Now what you do, you go for loop. For I in nums, we just say result equal to result plus 1 if the I, every element is less than the threshold k, else result plus 0. Okay, we get the result and we return. So you can return the result after this loop. Now if you call the function grow with data, nums and k, we get the result as 3. So what is happening here? We are passing the variables nums, the array, and the k, the threshold. And we are assigning a variable results, which is going to count how many elements are going to be less than the threshold. And this is the for loop. So this for loop will get all the elements one by one, right? So it gets 2, 11, 10, 1, and 3, one by one. And what we do, we just check if I is less than k. If people who are new to this video series, you might not know it. Basically, it is like this. If I is less than k, then you do the result equal to result plus 1. Else, you say result equal to result plus 0. Or you don't need to have a else statement at all. Okay, so this will work. This is the very basic coding part, which we passed already, right? We initial 2-3 videos we used to do like this, but we improved our coding standards, right? So what we did, instead of doing this result if condition, we can simply say result equal to result plus 1 if I is less than k, right? Else result plus 0. So you don't have to print this. So it get all the test cases passed. So what this does, instead of if else statement, you write that in a single variable, single line. So instead of saying result plus 1, we simply say plus equal to 1 or 0. Even this works the same way. Instead of saying result plus, we simply say plus equal to, which is equal to result plus. Okay. So instead of result plus 1 and result plus 0, we simply do this way. Okay. So this part is to count the elements which are less than the threshold. But the question is, you have to delete the elements. You have to remove the element one at a time, and then you have to count this part. So you want to delete an element from a list. How will you do it? I think in our previous video, the maximum number of operations with the same score, right? Like 3 or 4 videos before this, we talked about how we remove elements from a list. We take this nums, and if I want to remove, I have two functions. The first one is pop, right? So if I say nums dot pop, and you see it, it will delete the last element of the given array. Sorry, pop by default will delete the last element. If I want to delete the first element, I will just say the index value 0. So if I say 0, that means it removes the 0th index position, 2. If I want to remove the 10, then it's 0, 1, and 2, right? So I just say 2. So it remove the element in the second position. That is the pop. The second one is called remove. So if you say nums dot remove, if I want to have a specific 2, okay, we say 2, it will delete the element 2. If I say 10, then it delete the element 10. So what if I have two elements of 2? If I say 2 here, and I have two elements, this one and this one, what will happen if I say remove 2? It will find the first occurrence of that element and then delete it. If I say 2, 2, 2, this is 2, it will remove the first element. So in the previous video, we used the pop function, we wrote the code. This time we can try the remove function. So how will I do the remove function? Let's copy this. Since you said, okay, the remove and the element will delete it, right? So why can't, after doing this, we say nums dot remove the element, right? We can have only one example because this is going to fail. Okay. So when you run this, the result is going to be 2, but it's supposed to be 3, right? So what is happening? We are removing it, right? But still it shows only 2. So what is the problem? Let's see here. We are going to say print I equal to I and nums. We are going to print the variable. If you see this, it's 2, 11, 10, 1, 3, right? So the first one, it reads the first element, 2. That's good. So 2, 11, 10, 1, 3, it reads the first element, 2. And then it comes and removes the element. We can print here, after removing, what is the nums part. So it just takes 2 and we are removing 2. And what happens? From this array, 2 got removed. So it becomes 11, 10, 1, 3. It is good. But when you come to the next loop, it goes to 10. It ignores the 11, right? It directly takes the second element, because the first loop, it takes the first element, that is 2, and then it is going to try the second element for the next loop. But what happens? Before it goes to the second element, the nums got deleted. One element got deleted, but still the for loop will look for the second element, which is 10 now. It's supposed to be 11, but it becomes 10. And then we get the I equal to 10, and we are removing that. So the array becomes 11, 1, and 3. And then you look for it. Now it will look for I equal to 3. Ignore the 1. So it will skip one element, because before the loop starts again, the nums got changed, right? So the for loop will look for the index position, but the array got changed. So this is not the right way. The function looks good, right? But the way we loop in, it's not right. So how will you fix it? So instead of for loop, there is something called a while loop, right? So when you do a while loop, we have to learn something called how will you find the minimum element in an array. I have an element like this. How will I find the minimum element? So nums equal to this. So if I want to find a minimum, I simply say minimum of nums. This is 1. If I say minus 10, it will get the minimum value. So simply you say minimum of nums. So this is what you're going to do. Instead of for loop, I'm going to say while the minimum of the array, right? The minimum of the array is less than k. So whatever be the elements in the array, every time when the loop is done and come back to the while loop, it will check what is the minimum value of the array. If that is a value which is less than k, then you do the operation again. So it checks first what is the minimum of nums. Here it's 1. Okay. Then it goes into the loop. It gets what is, instead of I can say minimum of nums. Okay. Minimum of nums. And the nums is this way. And result equal to the same. We count because there is one more element which is minimum. And then we remove whatever is minimum of nums. Okay. If there is more than one element, still the remove will remove the first occurrence of that element. Let's see here. Grow with data says num result equal I. There is no I. So we simply say result equal result plus 1, because every time the loop is going to trigger when there is some element which is minimum of the k, right? So here what happens? First it gets the array 2, 11, 10, 1, 3 and find the minimum of nums. So minimum of nums is 1, right? I equal to 1, and the nums is what is given. And then we are removing 1. now the array becomes 2, 11, 10, and 3. The 1 is gone. And next loop, it goes, what is the minimum? 2 is the minimum part. And then it goes into the while loop. It gets the result aggregate plus 1, and then it removes it. So the array becomes, the 2 is gone. So 11, 10, and 3. After that, it is the minimum one. 3 is the minimum element. So I becomes 3. And the nums is 10, 11, 10, and 3. And then we are removing the minimum value, which is 3. And the array becomes 11 and 10. So we are doing it for 3 times. And the I will be incremented. The result will be incremented to 3. So for loop is not going to work the same way we did before. So we are trying the while loop. So when you are in sync with the interviewer, and you have to see which approach you are going for. If the interviewer is okay with getting only the number of operations, then you can do the for loop, which is so simple. But if the interviewer wants to delete the element and you proceed, that means you have to go with the remove part. But when you do remove, the for loop is not going to work. You have to go for the while loop. So we don't have to print everything. You can just remove it. And then we can get the other test cases. And we try this out if it works. Yes, it works. So here we give only result equal to result plus 1. The previously we just say if less than 1 or that, because I is less than k is the main condition here. So I is less than k is the main condition. Only if there is an element which is less than k, then only the while loop works. So we don't have to check it again after this, right? So we don't have to check it after. So we just simply say result equal to result plus 1. And once you increment it, we can just remove that element which the remove will take care, right? It will remove the first occurrence of that element. So the main part is whether you can use the for loop, which is so simple, but the interviewer wants to delete and do it, then you can use the while loop. It's up to you. Hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.